Imagine you wake up in the middle of the night. Your room is illuminated by the light from the TV because you fell asleep before turning it off. On the screen, you see what you can only describe as chaos. Different scenes of stop-motion animation paint the TV screen, but none of it makes any sense. It's nothing but gag and slapstick humor. You know how weird it is, but you can't turn away? The thought of having absolutely no idea what will come next keeps your eyes glued to the screen. This show, which has no plot, no direction, and no real theme, is called Robot Chicken. An American stop-motion comedy series created by Seth Green and Matthew Senreich for Cartoon Network's late-night program Adult Swim. Adult Swim had a bounty of weird and eccentric shows in its history. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Squidbillies, and Metalocalypse, but none quite like Robot Chicken. To my friends and kids of my age group, Robot Chicken seemed to be the most well-known and popular. It was the chaos and the little pop culture references that seemed to make it shine just a bit brighter than the other shows did. It was perfect at capturing your attention for just long enough to where you didn't lose interest. Robot Chicken was a show built on unpredictability, rapid-fire sketches, absurd humor, and a complete disregard for storytelling. It felt like flipping through channels on a TV. In fact, that's how the show transitioned between sketches. You never knew what you were going to get next. It's been a good long time since either of us have really watched any Robot Chicken, but years later, that same chaotic energy would resurface in a different kind of show. Not in America, but in Japan. In 2018, Pop Team Epic hit the airwaves, bringing with it a similar brand of madness. Like Robot Chicken, it thrived on absurdity, jumping from one ridiculous skit to another without any warning. What started as a 4-panel webcomic in 2014 has garnered a near cult-like following due to the series' surrealism, absurdity, and its non-sequitur type comedy. Two girls, Pee-Pee-Me and Popoko, find themselves in ridiculous but comedic situations. The show doesn't follow any standard anime format. Just like with its plot, it makes its own rules and strays far from the path of normal. The anime does follow a 12-episode format, but that's the only normal thing about the show. Each episode is pretty much split in half. The first half is normal until you hear the voice actors. Every episode airs the same segments twice, but they are split between male and female voice actors.
ポップチンさ、タバコは良くないかもかも。
ポプチンさ、タバコは良くないかもね。
Giving just a little bit of extra spice to an already spicy show. Pop Team Epic uses a variety of different types of humor, but its most notable has to be its use of surreal humor. Surreal humor is basically events or scenarios that deliberately violate normal reasoning to produce events that are illogical or don't make any sense. And this show definitely does that. And it does it very, very well. It uses this along with references to pop culture to create a saga of some of the most scuffed media in anime that we have ever seen. Just like Robot Chicken, Pop Team Epic also uses pop culture references. Except where Robot Chicken used American references of the time, Pop Team Epic uses Japanese ones. This is probably one of the reasons that the show has garnered a near cult-like following. I really hate to make this sound like a Rick and Morty reference, but in order to understand some of the references in the show, you have to understand Japanese culture. It helps give context to the skit, and well, pretty much the entire show. But that's not to say they only use Japanese pop culture in the show. There are tons of others, like Dick Dastardly and the Wacky Races, the Steppenwolf Born to be Wild reference, and who could forget the time Pee-Pee-Me transformed into a Lockheed P-3 Orion aircraft. Needless to say, the show has some very wacky antics and bits, but they wouldn't quite be the same if it wasn't for a certain something, or a certain someone. Pop Team Epic would not be Pop Team Epic without its two eccentric main characters. And those two extremely eccentric main characters are Pee-Pee-Me and Popoko. The shorter of the two is Popoko, a hot-headed, foul-mouthed, and easily enraged troublemaker. She often reacts violently to situations, whether it be flipping people off, physically attacking others, or just being an agent of pure chaos. Despite her small stature, she has an explosive personality and over-the-top reactions. The taller and more composed of the duo, Pee-Pee-Me, usually appears calm and collected, often serving as a counterbalance to Popoko's chaotic nature. However, that's not to say she doesn't have her own moments of insanity. She can switch from gentle to menacing in an instant. She sometimes acts as a mentor or protector to Popoko, but is just as likely to participate in the absurdity alongside her. Unlike Robot Chicken, Pop Team Epic is carried by its main characters. While the show revolves around miscellaneous skits and bits, its true attention grabber relies on its protagonists, Peepamy and Popoko. These two provide an anchor and give the viewer a very good reason to continue watching. For many of us who grew up watching cartoons like Tom and Jerry, Peepamy and Popoko, on top of everything else, provide a slight sense of nostalgia. I remember very vividly watching Tom and Jerry on Saturday mornings. The cat and mouse duo never failed to entertain us, and in a way, Peepamy and Popoko are the same. While they might not be two animals trying to kill each other, they do play a pivotal role in giving the viewer a sense of familiarity in a show that doesn't really have a lot of that. There's something I really like about seeing our favorite characters in a flurry of different and wacky situations. From being Ginza host detectives to robbing a Konbini with Cthulhu, we get the opportunity to learn and see them and their behavior in countless situations. Not that there's supposed to be a ton of depth to Peepamy and Popoko, but we can learn and understand them in a deeper level. In a show that really doesn't have any form of plot, it's nice to have something to grab onto while you watch it. While the characters of Pop Team Epic help to provide a sense of familiarity, the animation certainly does not. And I mean that in a good way, actually. Pop Team Epic's use of different animators and animation styles is just another thing that helps the show stick out and what puts it in its own little unique corner of anime. Every single episode is like a giant stew of different styles. I think one of my favorite things about this show is the amount of care and effort the staff has put into it. I don't mean to say that other shows don't, but Pop Team Epic has a feeling of care, almost like a passion project and not just a job for the people who work on it. It almost felt like everyone in the staff was a big group of friends, animating their inside jokes, and it just happened to produce a hilarious anime. Have you ever done something with your buddies that is completely dumb, has no value whatsoever, but you just put your all into it? Not because it's important, but because it's just plain old fun? That's Pop Team Epic. It's just fun. Everyone knows it's not serious. It's not groundbreaking or winning any major awards. You come up with a funny skit on the fly with your buddies, laugh about it, and boom, it's in an episode. Pop Team Epic is almost like turning your brain off and getting in the mindset of being a kid again. If you go into the show expecting a serious, groundbreaking, and well-written plot, you're gonna have a bad time. For many people, the show is easy to criticize. Zero depth, zero character development, and zero direction. For some people, those are all strikeouts, and I get that. But every now and again, it's good to turn your brain off and enjoy the show. The only thing that matters is fun, and that's exactly what Pop Team Epic is. Just fun.